We're studying for ourselves a fascinating passage in the Gospel by Mark, chapter 4, verses 35 to 42. And we're learning how to observe. And already we've come up with a great deal of material by simply asking three questions: who, what, and where. Let's take a moment to look at when. What time is it? Well, the text says it's at night. That's a scary scene. It's enough to be in a storm of this caliber, but to be there at night. I can remember as a little boy, we had some vicious thunderstorms in Pennsylvania. They never bothered me, except at night. And when that lightning would strike and that thunder would crash, man, I would go underneath the covers. You see, it adds significance, color to the scene. And then, why was this written? Well, it was written for a number of reasons. The first of which is, it is teaching me that when Jesus Christ is in my boat, it will not sink. You see, they are in the process of a teaching experience. But in order to be taught, you have to be teachable. And Jesus Christ creates the most desperate of situations, which to professional fishermen is even life-threatening, so that they might learn, look, when Jesus Christ says, let's go to the other side, he is not saying, let's go to the middle of the lake and drown. And when you and I are willing to be taught in the experiences of life, then we too will take the giant steps that I believe the disciples were taking. You see, Jesus Christ is teaching the disciples and us to trust him. Do you have a hard time doing that? It's very easy for me to talk about it, but to trust him in every situation of life. I came down with cancer not too long ago, life-threatening. And I will never forget the night before that surgery, when my wife and I are sitting in a hospital, and I realized this could be the end of the line for me in terms of my ministry. You see, it forces questions. That's exactly what they ask. Who is this that even the winds and the waves obey him? And I learned that night God is not only sovereign, he's good. And the only reason I'm talking to you today is because I believe God has something more for me to do. He saved my life. So I ask another question. What is there in my life that cannot be saved apart from Jesus Christ? So we trust in everything. We trust in medicine. We trust in doctors, dentists, people who very graciously and efficiently care for us. But ultimately, all of our trust, though he may use means, ultimately resides in him. Can I trust him? Is he worthy of trust? This is why James says, look, if you don't understand what's happening in your life, resources are available upon request. Just come in faith to the Father, but don't doubt. Because doubting and faith do not go in the same picture. You either doubt that God is able or you believe he is able. You may not understand it, but you trust that God understands it and that he is perfectly capable. See, another thing that comes out of this passage is that Jesus Christ is teaching his disciples. He's introducing them to his power. Now, bear in mind, they had seen miracles up to this point, but they were not directly involved. This is a miracle that affects them. And because it affects them, they are beginning to ask, what kind of a person are we following? They believed he was the Lord, but they learned to practice it in their own experience. And the last question is wherefore? How well do I listen to Christ's words? When he says, let's go to the other side, that's exactly where you are going. And you can trust him for that. Nothing in my life comes into my life but what it comes across the screen of his will. He wants what's best for me, he knows what's best for me, and he will do what's best for me.